Welcome back, Spurs fans, to the Scott Hepler Football Channel. Today we're doing our predicted ponderings of the Tottenham versus Chelsea match coming up on the 19th. London Derby. All right. So what we do here is we're going to discuss the lineup that we think either Nuno's going to put out or players I think that should be in there, and talk about why those people should be there, either why I think he's doing it or why I think it should be there, because that's what I think should be there. So with that being said, ponder upon this. If Son, who at this point looks like he has an injury, if he's able to go even 80%, if he's at 80%, do we play him and risk him for potential use in the midweek match or next weekend's match against Arsenal? So think about that a little bit. So as far as I think the lineup should be, this is not what I think Nuno will do. This is what I think should happen based on the injuries that we have, which if we look at the injuries, we have Song, Bergwijn, Mora, Dyer, and Sessegnon. The three COVID brothers are all back for this match. So I'm thinking we need to play a 3-4-2-1. And my reasoning for that is a couple reasons. I think we need a strong center because Lukaku's a strong center forward. And with Davidson back, I think Nuno will end up putting him into the squad. I don't think Davidson, with just one other center back, will do well against Lukaku, because typically Davidson does very poorly against big, strong center forwards. And therefore, I think some assistance would be needed for Davidson. And by putting in a back three of Romero, Rodin, and Davidson, that strengthens that center back position, the center of our defense, and doesn't just rely on Davidson to hold up against Lukaku. That gives us an extra center back to help out with that. So with three of them there. So I'm thinking in a 3-4-2-1, we go with three center backs, Romero, Rodin, and Davidson. And specifically, I think Romero and Davidson should be outside of Rodin. They're a little bit quicker, so that'll give us a little bit of pace on the edges a little bit. And Rodin is our most intellectually sound defensive player, and I think if we stick him out on one of the outside center back positions, it limits his ability to foresee and head off danger. Where in the middle, he can foresee everything that's going on and cover the entire area. He'll be more limited on the edge. Plus that speed factor. I think Romero has a little more pace, and so does Davidson and Rodin. So that would help us with any issues of pace, because Chelsea have plenty of players that can just flat out fly. And we need some assistance there, because in this setup, we're going to have our wing backs more advanced than the three center backs. And so it's going to be incumbent on those three to work well together and utilize what pace we do have to help mitigate Chelsea's pacey players on the outside. So, of course, Lloris is our goalie. I mean, that's a given. So I know I skipped that, but oh well, we're moving on. So in the midfield, out on the left, midfield / wing backs, out on the left, outside, it's going to be, I think it needs to be Regan. He's really our only left back that's capable of doing that job. If Sessegnon was playing, that might be an option, because he's played wing back previously. Davies, I don't think is an option, not a wing back. When we move into the middle, I don't think we should use a flat midfield. I think we need to use a kind of a diamond formation with the wing backs. And in the holding midfield, it should be Højbjerg, in my opinion. And then the position in front of him, which is more of an advanced position, I think it should be Ndombele. Ndombele played in the midweek match. He had some moments where he was showing, what he does. And then he also had times where he was absent. And then he showed some things where he just wasn't very good playing deep and helping with the defense. I mean, actually, I put that first goal that Rene scored partially on his shoulders, because he was very lax in his defensive duties out there in the midfield and allowed that, and was partially culpable for allowing that first goal to happen for Rene. So I would rather see him a little farther up the pitch, not only to keep him, if he's not going to help out that much on defense, keep him farther up where he doesn't hinder our defensive abilities. And that's where we need him, is a little farther up, linking up with the attacking players between the back line and the holding midfield to those frontline players. He's that link. That's what we need from him. That's where I think he'll be best suited. Plus, in this kind of diamond formation, this allows Højbjerg to kind of traverse across that entire back three to kind of help provide some protection there. He doesn't have to play the full width of the pitch, because you got your wing backs, but he can just kind of do his thing, put out fires, stop the aggression and some of the attacks that Chelsea will put forth, in my opinion. All right, so there's 3 of the 4 in the 3-4-2-1. Out on the right wing back, Tanganga is suspended for his red card, so he's not even available to play. That's who else I forgot to put in the injury/suspensions. Tanganga, my bad. I'd put Royal out there, because Doherty, he's proven over and over again, and then in the midweek match, he just can't handle it at this level anymore. He's ineffective going forward, constantly giving the ball away. He doesn't have the ability to play defense for the team to help us, keep the opposition at bay. So, in my opinion, while Royal had a very rough first game, and especially after the first 5-10 minutes, I think he's our best option at this point. Yeah, I mean, you could always say, maybe put Davies out there on the left instead of Reguilon, move Reguilon to the right, but that's not what Reguilon's used to. He's used to being on that left side. So I think it needs to be Royal, and we're just thin at options. We just are right now. But I think Royal actually will give us and he won't have to focus so much on defense. He can not that he has to completely forget about it, but he can be a little more forward thinking. And that's what he's supposed to be known for. He didn't really show it in the first match, other than in the first 5 minutes, he showed just 1 or 2 little flashes. But beyond that, he didn't show anything moving forward. But this will free him up a little bit too. Maybe let him loose, let him feel free to kind of go out there and really get after it. So those are the 4, I think. The 2, I think we need 2 people playing underneath the center forward. I want to keep that kind of tight and narrow, because this will also protect, by keeping it tight and narrow. This keeps Chelsea from being able to work through our middle. It's kind of like the 4-3-3 that Nuno's been using, in keeping the forwards and the midfield very tight in the middle, narrow, and only allowing the outside channels available for oppositions. And this does kind of that same thing, but I think this actually helps the midfield, because that's where we're weakest right now, is in the midfield. Along with our issues in the defense, but This provides the best solidarity within the midfield, in my opinion, because that's where Chelsea is extremely strong. I mean, they're strong front to back. So they every level that they have, they're strong. So the best thing we can do is help mitigate that issue in the midfield, because that's where we usually get wore down and beat up pretty badly in most matches. This will help solidify that, because we're really going to make this midfield tight, compact, and dense for the other team to try to work through. And so within those two players in front of the four, I think it should be Heel and Lo Celso. And Hill's been playing pretty decent, showing some flashes, definitely getting a little better each time. Still has a lot to work on, in my opinion, but he is definitely one of our best options right now. And as I said, we have a lot of injuries, a lot of people out for that would probably fit these roles a little better, but I think Hill should be in there. Heel, I'll get that. And then Lo Celso. So Lo Celso, he should be fresh. Now, whether he can go a full 90, don't know. But with the options available, he's probably one of the better options. Now, you could arguably flip Ndombele or Lo Celso. Either one in those two positions, I'm good with. But I think that's kind of where... But I think Ndombele works a little bit better if he's not right up on that front line. If he's has a little more space to work with, because previously when he's been in a 4-2-3-1 and played that cam role, and he's right there with that front line, he's not quite as effective as putting the ball through and then making his little moves and stuff. He needs a little bit of room between him and that front line. And I think that this setup here provides that. But like I said, if you flip Lo Celso and then Ndombele, I'm good with that. Either way, I think those guys need to be in there, because Lo Celso, one, can provide some creative opportunities, and he'll play defense for us too. He works hard. And if we're wanting to press a little bit forward, he can do that. He's got the legs. That's what he does. That's what they do with Argentina. And this is one of the things I've been saying, that we've misused him compared to the way Argentina use it. This is more of what they do with him. There's a lot more fluidity in the way their Argentina plays than what Spurs play. And with this setup will allow some fluidity. I mean, those three between Heel, Ndombele, and Lo Celso can actually be very interchangeable too. They can interchange amongst each other. They can flow and be very fluid in where they're at, what they're doing, and how things are working with them. So I think this allows, if utilized and done correctly, allows to get the best out of Lo Celso also myself. Puts him in more of his role that he plays in his national team, which he's played well for Argentina. There's no arguing. He plays well for Argentina. And that's where I'm saying we've misused him here at Spurs. We haven't got the best out of him because we're not utilizing him in the best way. So, and I get it. You can't build your team to fit one player unless it's someone like a Ronaldo or Messi or something like that. And he's not those two, one of those two multi-generational players. So that's all the way up to the center forward. And of course the center forward is going to be Kane. Kane has to play. We don't have a backup. The pseudo backup, which is Song, he's out from what I'm understanding at this point. So that's my lineup. That's what I think we should do. I think this would give us an opportunity to mitigate Chelsea in attacking. It gives us an opportunity to counterattack, because that's where I think we're going to be effective in trying to get a goal or get after them, because I don't think we're going to do it from open play. And when they can back in, because usually when they come back and really settle in, they're in a back five. A lot of times they go into more of a 5-3, 1-1, or something like that. But they definitely really pack it in if they have when they don't have possession. So doesn't leave us a big bench. If you look at the available bench players, there's really not a lot of people in there that you would say, oh, I could see that person playing. I mean, the two players that people would maybe argue is, could be in here, Skip or Ali. For me, Ali has absolutely done nothing this season. He's, other than run a half marathon every match, he's good at that. But as far as value and quality for the team and providing anything of substance for the team for this in any of the matches he's played, he's only played, really, in my opinion, 15-20 minutes of quality time. And he's played every Premier League match. So, in my opinion, that's just not enough. We need something more. And especially against a top flight team. If he's out there just running to get his laps in, they're going to eat us alive. They are. So, now, you see I got on the bench. We could, if Son's not fully fit to start, he may be available on the bench. Same thing with maybe a Mora, or I don't think the way Bergwijn took his injury, I don't think he's even going to be available. But we're very thin this match, so if there's something that we've talked about or some points that I've made that are making those wheels spin, or perking that little light bulb in your head, hit that like button. Let me know that there was something there that you're like, hey, that's interesting, or hey, that got me thinking, or I'm thinking, I don't agree with you, but that made me think a little bit. You don't have to agree with me. Just, if it made you think a little, hit that like button. I'd appreciate it. And I think we're not going to pull this one out, in my opinion. If best case scenario, in my opinion, would be a draw. 0-0-1-1 best case. I don't think if we score, I don't think it'll be more than one goal, in my opinion. I don't think we'll keep them from scoring 3 goals, 2 to 3 goals at least. That's a minimum for them, in my opinion. It's just they're playing extremely well. They're very strong, and they're showing it. And so that's what I think. That's where I think we're at. We got a lot of matches yet coming up over the next 15, 16 days. They're coming hot and fast right now, so we got to get this kind of figured out. What are we going to do? And as far as Nuno, I know a lot of people have been riding pretty hard. Nuno's in the situation he is largely because management didn't do their job and go get players we needed to help out this squad for now. They got some players for the future. They did get Romero, who I would say is a player for now and the future. But beyond that, you can't say there's a player that they bought this season or this transfer window that's really going to help the team progress and get much better right now. And I put a lot of that. I think Nuno's doing the best he can with what he has. I do think he needs to not listen to other people and do more like what he did with Man City, and he's going to have to be very conservative. We don't have the ability or the players to be reckless. We can't. We have to be very conservative. We have to play very close to the vest. And I know a lot of people don't like that, but in my opinion, that's the best way for us to get results and try to move into something better than Conference League next year. Because if we don't get Europa or Champions League, which I think Champions League is completely off the table, we'll just throw it out there. If we don't get better than Conference League in next year, this is going to be even worse. We already had a number of players tell us, no, I'm not coming there this past transfer window because we were not in the Europa League or Champions League. It's just a fact. We can't afford not to get into one of those two higher level competitions. And that comes down to getting results. And whether it's pretty or not, that's the end line that we need to focus on. Get results, in my opinion. But that's just me. Hey. But yeah, I don't think it looks good, but I'm hopeful. I'm always hopeful, even though my mind tells me something different. My heart tells me all the time that we can win, but my mind's like, the evidence just doesn't show us doing well in this one. So let me know what you all think, and come on, you Spurs.